Everyone has a different style, but there are key points in a bowling action, bowling technique that all the best do, and to improve, you need to be able to do that. And you need to brace your front leg. And that is not necessarily, you don't have to be fully extended straight. You can be slightly bent, but it needs to be a good pivot, good fulcrum, maintaining the height of your center of mass over the front leg. And that's what Joffre does. He pulls himself forward. 20% of ball velocity comes from your runner. You can't have front side extension of front leg without rear side rotation. So if you haven't rotated on the back foot, this front leg will always be limited because the tension is taken on this right side. How little strength you can get away with to help you bowl faster. And there's a different mindset.
Cricket Life Stories with me, Neel Khagram. Today we're joined by Steffan Jones. Steph, how's things going?
Yeah, very good, very warm. Just come back from a week in Cornwall, which was lovely. So, yeah, it's life's good.
Yeah, it's a hot one this week. Let's. You want to give us some tips on how to bowl fast, some tips and advice for all. But before we get into it, let's talk a little bit about your career. Played for Somerset, Northants, Derbyshire, small stint with Kent.
Yeah, it was a month. Yeah, it was a month loan at Kent. Yeah, so I was obviously I grew up in the deepest South Wales. Rugby was the main thing for me at school. I was a state school boy, even though I teach now in a private school. I was a state school boy, so it's all rugby. And for me to get my cricket, my dad played rugby and cricket. And what you do in Wales, you play rugby in the winter and cricket in the summer. That's how it's simple it is. And then I played club cricket outside. I was fortunate enough to be able to do both of them at schoolboy international levels. So all the Wales and the 19s, the youths, both at rugby and cricket. I went to Loughborough University to do sports science. Then I went to Cambridge University to get my blues and PGC in physical education. Then I was fortunate to be signed by Bristol Rugby as a professional rugby player. And because I gave up cricket for a year to focus on rugby. And then while I was playing cricket for Cambridge, which was a life changer for me, really, that year at Cambridge, it was an extraordinary year. I loved every minute of it. Derek Randall was my coach, some Ed Smith was there, Anurag Singh, Will House, some good players. We played first-class cricket, proper first-class cricket. I remember being hit in the head a few times by Devon Malcolm. And then I played against Dean Jones. He was captain of Derbyshire, and he said, well, you should give cricket a crack, really. You should give it another go. And the umpires phoned Somerset because I needed somewhere close to Bristol. And I went for a trial down in Kent, in Ashford, the second team. Rob Key's debut, I think it was. That's how long ago it was. And then I bowled all right. I got a first ball duck batting because I went in as a night watchman and had no idea what that was, and proceeded to charge the bowler and hit one straight back at him as a spinner. But they still signed me. So I'm the last person to play two professional sports in the UK. And I'm very, very fortunate to have done that. I'm sure a lot of people could still do it, but it's not possible now with the seasons. So it's that's why I'm confident in my methods and in my opinions, really, because I'm not here to convince people on the way to bowl quickly. I'm just here to help, and if they don't want to listen, then that's fine, because I'm confident. I've played two sports. That is a very, very small percentage of the world. I'm talking small percentage. Then I graduated. I got blues, so I've got the badges. So I'm happy where I am, but it still wasn't quite enough. So that's why I came out of the game to learn more about myself, more about coaching. So I was Derbyshire's bowling coach as well. So I've done it all, obviously, and then the IPL as well. So it's been a good journey, but yeah, it's only the start of the journey.
Was coaching the natural path for you post play? Was it always in the back of your mind that is the line you wanted to go down?
Well, so I never wanted to be a professional sportsman. I never searched that. You know, I started playing sport when I was 13. I just played, and so I never searched it, but it just fell in my lap. I just went through being the best that I can be at whatever sport that was, you know. So I trained really hard. I trained harder than anyone. I was stronger, fitter. And then so the S&C element of it was a big part of my career, really, because it allowed me to bowl at 6 o'clock when others were tired. So I got my wickets that way, really. I got 1 wicket every 10 overs. So for me to get 50 wickets, I needed 500 overs. So in 2000, I think I bowled the second most overs next to Phil Tufnell, I think. So the fitness was a big part of what I did. And then, so I wanted to come out. So Derbyshire offered me a new 3-year contract. I turned it down to become head of cricket at Wellington School in Somerset. And then I progressed now on to director of sport, which allows me to explore my own ways of coaching, really.
You mentioned Wellington School. You've also worked with the Hobarts, Australia, Rajasthan. How are those as experiences as well?
Yeah, they were great, actually. So Hobart Hurricanes was the first one. So I did county cricket with Derbyshire. Then I did a bit of work with the Somerset Academy bowlers. Then I did a bit of work I was head coach for the Somerset women team for a year. And then I went to Hobart Hurricanes for the Big Bash. Damien Wright took me down there, which was a great experience. That gave me good exposure. Worked with Stuart Broad, Sean Tate, Dan Christian. The feedback I got from them actually convinced me maybe it is something that I can go into without sacrificing my family's life and the security of working at a school. It's something I can consult. So I'd like to consult to these teams. And then I had a meeting with Raoul Dravid at Wellington School. He came over, showed him around the school, and he wanted me to come over and work in his, because he is fascinated by fast bowling. You wouldn't say it, but obviously he is a phenomenal human being. But he is fascinated by fast bowling, and my methodology, my science of it, my data-driven approach to it really resonated well with him, because everyone has an opinion, and without data, it's just exactly that. It's just an opinion. But I test everything. So he asked me to go to Bangalore in the Padukone Dravid Performance Centre. And then when I was there, Rajasthan Royals team manager came down, and looking back at it, it was clearly just an interview there. And yeah, I signed. I did the full year 2 years ago with Jofra, Stokes, all of them, Varun, JD. It was just an extraordinary experience, and the impact it's minimal to judge because it's just a whole package, isn't it? So, and then my following year, then I became the developmental coach. So I coached the bowlers outside the IPL, and then I would go in for a week at the start of the IPL, make sure the bowlers are ready, make sure the bowlers are well cooked, ready to go. And then I would come home to my job at school, because I couldn't leave a director of sport role again for whatever was 8 weeks. And then sort of JD Unadkat and Varanaran, Dhaval Kulkarni then came over and spent some time in the summer, and all had an impact. JD Unadkat then following year went back and obviously broke the Ranji Trophy record. So it's good when that happens.
And you've also got your Pace Lab business, pacelabglobal.com. We'll put all the links in the description below. But yeah, talk us through that.
Yeah, so Pace Lab is exactly As it says on the tin, really, it's a sort of a lab. So everything I do is tested. So tested from run-up speed. So I got all the equipment that's needed. Run-up speed, arm speed, ball velocity. It's surprising now how many bowling coaches don't actually measure bowling speed. So how do you know if performance is increasing? How do you know if the training you're doing in the gym is transferring? So I find that mind-blowing. That so every session I do, ball velocity is always measured, so I know where I need to go then in training. Contact grids to measure the ground contact time. Are they spending too long on back foot contact, which ruins the sequence of the bowling action, because you're spending too long on the floor, unable to hip internally rotate. So it is exactly that. It's science driven. It's basically you have this number. To increase that number, you need to do that, follow it, and you will do that. It's just, it's that simple.
Yeah, it's a fantastic system you do have in place. So whoever's watching this, please do check it out. Links in the description below. But for now, let's get in the nitty gritty of pace. And the first question, high level question: can pace be taught?
Do you know what? I knew you were going to ask that. So, well, you were born with a pace flow. Okay, so and genes, your DNA is pace is 50% in your DNA. So strength and power, phenotypes, the genes are from your parents, 50% of them. So my job then as pace lab or director of sport at a school is to squeeze the sponge and get as much out of the other 50%. Okay, so my pace flow, it's up to, you know, it's the fast twitch, it's the fiber makeup, you know, tendon stiffness, everything, robustness, resilience, work capacity, all the physical qualities, and obviously technique as well. And technique underpins everything. But my pace flow would be lower than Jofra Archer's. So he would always, if we didn't do anything, he would always bowl quicker. That's it. But if I trained correctly, the pace lab way, I'll be able to push my pace ceiling up. I will be able to improve, but you're only able to improve the amount that the body is capable of doing, really. It's just, and then if Jofra does the same, he will always be faster than me. So the true 90 miles per hour bowlers are born. I genuinely believe that, and that's genuine pace. You know, and people say there's a couple of bowlers who have gone from 70 to 90, but that is because they never really trained correctly. They never actually pushed their pace ceiling up. They were very low training age, and the training was poor, whatever. So it's not impossible, but very rare do you add a lot of pace if you're somewhere near your natural pace ceiling.
What are your main philosophies when it comes to coaching? Can you give us a bit of in-depth insight?
Yeah, it's so your body will move the way it wants to. So it will search for the safest path. And that, because we are a protective organism, you know, our brain lives in a cave. It relies on senses, the vestibular system, to tell the brain what to do. And it'll always search for protections, for survival. And sometimes, and to do that, it might develop a bowling action, a kino sequence that's actually not traditional, and it's idiosyncratic, and it's your style. So style is different to technique. Everyone has a different style, but there are key points in a bowling action, bowling technique, that all the best do, and to improve you need to be able to do. So that, and then you test someone. I have a bowler, I test them. There's 10-point test, and then from there you look at the bowling action. Ultimately, it's technique. and then you design a path that will help you achieve the key descriptors. So the key descriptors of, running in faster, a stiff back foot contact, brace front foot contact, delayed bowling arm, large trunk flexion, all those are underpinned by attractors, which are key hard skills that can be trained. So you train those then. The question when I see a bowler and you need to brace your front leg, and that not necessarily, you don't have to be fully extended straight. You can be slightly bent, but it needs to be a good pivot, good fulcrum, maintaining the height of your center of mass over the front leg. And that's what Joffre does. He pulls himself forward. So but you'll never be able to brace your front leg if you have a weakness somewhere, if you have a dysfunction somewhere. So you can do as much technique work as you want to, but if your body's not capable of holding that, of tolerating that different position that you're now currently asking it to do, because it didn't want to do it yesterday, so what's going to make it want to do it today? So you have to help it. So it is like a Formula One approach to fast bowling. You isolate part of the action. Firstly, you identify it, you isolate it, you constrain it, so you lock it into place. So it's about the subconscious coach. You can't be thinking about stuff. The drill needs to be your coach. Lock it in place, and then your one focus is intent of an exercise or whatever. And then you overload it. Use that strength and conditioning exercises and bring it into technical work, which is called special strength. And then you retest. You keep testing. If something is not right, the ball velocity is going down. Why is that? Don't just keep doing it and hoping it's going to be all right at whatever April the first game. You need to be testing every session. If that speed just plateaus a bit, boom, change the program. I do programs, and then because it says 4-week program on it, then if it's working, keep doing it. We're always searching for that sort of that hidden gem, but actually, if the program is working, keep doing it. As soon as you plateau, then you change. So it's a really data-driven, scientific, sports science approach, Formula One methodology to fast bowling.
Yeah, so it's a lot more than just the brace front leg. You listen to test fast bowlers on TV, emphasizing that element, delayed shoulder hip separation. Yeah. A lot more to it.
Yeah, it's playing experience doesn't make you a good coach. Playing experience might give you some tactical awareness, but again, that tactical awareness is contextual to you as a bowler. It might not be right for someone else. So if you have a slinger, a bowler who slings it low arm, it's hard for them to bowl short, but they can bowl Yorkers. So your idea of the correct tactic for this situation is different for that bowler. So it's what's a limiting factor for each individual. That's the key. No one size fits all. And to say that you have to brace the front leg, yes, it does help massively. And it's my number one descriptor that I try and prove on. But if you don't, it doesn't mean that you're not going to bowl quickly, but you need to make it up somewhere else. So what you find that your slingers, your Sean Tate, I have a boy at school who's left now, Jordan Knight, your Shoaib Akhtar's, your Fidel Edwards, your Jeff Thompson, although Jeff Thompson did brace his front leg. They didn't brace their front leg. They didn't brace their front leg because they're so rotated on backside. You can't have front side extension of front leg without rear side rotation. So if you haven't rotated on the back foot, this front leg will always be limited because the tension is taken on this right side now. So you can't extend, and you need to extend your front leg. You need to be braced before contact. So a slinger can't do that, but a slinger has made up for it because it's created that extra long arm pull, created more time behind. So then it's a bigger pull lever. So it doesn't matter as much if the center of mass has gone down half a foot. So it's looking at the whole picture, and to say on TV you need to do this, well, actually there's a bit more to it than that.
I know everyone's individual, but for the benefit of this, when I ask this question, if a young player did come to you who was bowling decent medium pace, what general program would you put them on to increase his or her speed?
First thing I would do is, so bowling is 20% strength, 80% speed. So I would tell them to find a sprint coach. So 20% of ball velocity comes from your run up. So you need to be a good sprinter. So that's an easy fix. So improve your 40-meter dash. And to do that, yes, you need to increase mass specific force. So heavy walks, sled drags, you know, I've got a 1080, so resisted running, more force driven stuff, lots of jumping. So that's the first thing I do. I wouldn't go straight to the gym. That's where people go wrong now. And until strength and conditioning coaches, which I am myself, but it's different. It's called governing dynamics of coaching. You need the knowledge in all aspects of performance to truly make a difference. Otherwise, communications from an S&C and a technical coach just get lost. And until an S&C is judged on field performance, not the whiteboard, you know, it's going to be difficult to get bowlers out of the mindset of improving back squat, improving deadlift, improving bench press. You need to be strong. Let's not make no bones about it. But is a point of diminishing returns. It's not how strong you need to be. It's more how little strength you can get away with to help you bowl faster. And there's a different mindset. You have a track, you have a gym. Always go on the track.
So is it almost a case of using those fast twitch fibers that you have and enhancing it to an extent where you're not actually bulking yourself up too much and actually having a detrimental effect on the art of fast bowling? Would that be fair to say?
Yeah. So you need fast twitch fibers to bowl. You're not going to bowl. You're not going to bowl quickly if you've got a more type 2B dominant fiber makeup, which is your fast twitch fibers. Okay, if you're type 1 dominant slow twitch fibers, you're going to be a spin bowler. You can't bowl the quickly if you haven't got and then the issue becomes then how much of type 2A, type 2B you have. More type 2B, the faster twitch fibers, in simple terms, the faster you'll bowl. But then again, you know, Usain Bolt probably couldn't bowl fast. So there's a bit more to it than fiber makeup. It's the synchronization, it's the timing, it's the coordination. It's having the right muscles switch on and off at the right time. There's so much to it, which is why I go down this rabbit hole, because it deserves all respect. It deserves all the knowledge that we can get. I think it's the most unnatural skill possible. So we need to get that knowledge base up. We need to understand everything, share it from different sports, because just playing the game for 20 years, oh, I've played, now I'm sat at the back of the net going, excuse me, young man, you need to bowl Yorkers, you need to swing the ball, I can't shine this side, angle the seam to bowl York. It's like, no, that's not coaching. That really isn't coaching. And we need to shift that mindset.
Is there such thing as having the perfect fast bowler's action? Is there a particular fast bowler, either in the modern game or history, that you think comes close? What are your views on that?
Well, it's not, there'll always be differences. So you have attractor sites, you have descriptors, I call them descriptors for now, key points in the action or the shape that they hit. So brace front leg, you know, Michael Holding had a brace front leg, Brett Lee had a brace front leg, Jofra Archer has a big brace front leg, Matt Wood has a brace front leg, so Varun Aaron has a brace front leg. So there's key descriptors there that obviously have an impact. You don't need to be a rocket science to work that. And then you need to be off the back foot quickly. So the West Indies fast bowlers in the 70s had it in abundance. and they weren't powerlifting, they weren't Olympic lifting, they were running on beaches, they were doing lots of steady state aerobic based running. I don't think bowlers are aerobically fit enough. The repetition, the stiffness of the Achilles tendon as well. So the natural athlete, most fast bowlers these days are robotic. They've been built, they've been manufactured, except for one, and he is, I think, the ultimate machine, and that's Jofra Archer. Have close experience with him, watching his action, yeah, special.
It's a fascinating subject. We can talk for hours about it, but let's end it on this one last question. What is your biggest tip for any aspiring quick?
My biggest tip would be look at what the best do. Try and be an individual in it. Don't try and change for the sake of it. Bowl within what's individual to you, but then notice that some of the best fast bowlers have key points that they do. They run in quicker. They maintain their energy from back foot to front foot. They don't try and jump up. You're not bowling at Aintree. It's not the Grand National. You need to be going forward. It's not a high jump. It's a long jump. I need a brace front leg. Learn to become a good sprinter. Learn to become a good triple jumper. And throw medicine balls, throw weighted balls. From that, you will bowl quicker. I've not failed yet.
Steph, perfect. Thank you very much for your time today. Really appreciate it. And all the best for the weeks ahead. So thank you.
Pleasure, pleasure.
So Neel Khagram, Cricket Life Stories, Steffan Jones. Thank you.